Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. It's a long time since I did one of my late night meanderings. It's 11:20. I don't know what it is. Sometimes if I sit at the computer while I'm waiting for Beth, I can't keep my eyes open. And then when it comes time to go to bed, I can't keep them closed. Well, it made me think today because I was chatting. It's funny how people that you have known seemingly for all your life, you haven't known them for all your life, but you may well have known them for, in my case, for 10 and 15 years. And such a person for me that I was talking to today is my Brazilian friend Elcio. And Elcio has been through many changes, a lot like me. He now is in California, and when my brother died, I like to think that Elcio is a replacement for my brother. Of course, nobody can replace your real brother if you loved him like I love mine, but Elcio's a pretty good close. Well, he's pretty close. I'm sounding more like Beth every day. He's a pretty good close. I'll be saying we're almost near soon, won't I? Well, we were talking about our mission. And he said he hadn't found his mission yet. And I said that I had found my mission. And then after we had finished talking, I really got to thinking about that, and so often I've said on video that Beth and I didn't find our mission found us, and it's a continuing thing that keeps evolving. I often like to think that my life is such that I'm privileged to watch this adventure unfold, almost like I've made some prefixed condition or decision, I should say, some decision way back in a time that I can't remember, to do what I'm doing. And isn't that often the case for a lot of people, that they do what they're doing, and yet analytically, consciously, they actually think that they want to do something else? And I read once about some of the things that some of the most famous talents actually wanted to do. People like Pavarotti, the great opera singer, and he wanted to do something else, I don't know, like play the flute or something. And then James Galway, who is known for playing the flute, wanted to do something else, I don't know, be a bricklayer, for all I know. And I remember that when Beth and I got married, and I was going, out of respect for Beth and her firm belief in the Foursquare Gospel Church and that way of life, I felt that I should find something out about the Bible, because I promised myself that I would find out about the Bible a long time ago. And then I happened to pass this place that said on it Bible Study Center, and that was in Cebu. So I ended up, and I've already talked about this before, about going to and studying the Bible. Well, I did that, and during that time, not as a result of studying the Bible, but as a result of trying to decide what we were going to do. Well, what we were talking about doing, as I also said many times, we were going to go abroad, and that was before I'd ever been to Bohol. Now, I knew that Beth was from Bohol. I knew it was another island, and that was as much as I knew. Not strong on geography. So we decided that I would be taken on a visit to Bohol, which I loved actually, because we went down to Pier 1 onto one of the what I call plywood ferries, with those great outriggers that look so marvellous. And we went to Bohol, and we climbed the road, climbed the hills up to Nanai's house, and I met Nanai, and it was a revealing trip. As we were making our way up the last part of what was to become the bridge, we saw Manarado, and he was ploughing in the field with a hand plough and a carabao, and he looked up, and this is where practicality comes in. He knows that I'm someone that at that time that Beth was interested in, or even committed to. She may, and some say that she should have been committed. Anyway, he just waved his hand, and he kept on ploughing. Whatever personal things come up, the work is still to be done. And right then was the germ of something that later turned into our mission. Now, it's not that my life and what happened to Beth and I is so incredibly interesting. It's just what happens when you find something that becomes your mission. Does it find you, or do you find it? Or should I say it the other way around for emphasis? Do you find it, or really does it find you? And so how can a mission find you? The first prerequisite is that you have to be listening. I know that may sound a little bit, oh yeah, well, it's going all strange on us, isn't it? It's going all new world. Not really. You have to be open to listening to what may or may not be divine guidance or divine intervention. I always like to think of now, because it's a word and a phrase that Beth can identify with, I always think that there is such a thing as divine intervention. Before I met Beth, I would have probably termed it that you're listening to guidance from your higher self, because I think even though my tutor Sarah at the Bible Study Center would be horrified to hear me say this, I do think that we are multi-levels of awareness, of identity, of soul, of spirit, and we operate at very different levels of awareness. And sometimes that's why people say, well, my gut reaction was I didn't like him. That was my gut reaction. Others say that there was something about him, her, that just didn't feel right. Well, there's all kinds of signals coming in when you think about it, and we talked about this as well, didn't we? About, well, I did anyway. I'm guessing that you were listening. There was the thing that I mentioned about you've never ever looked at Volvos because you think they're a bit ugly and square, and then somebody says, I'm getting a Volvo. Have you seen any? And then from there on, your mind, brain, whichever way you look at it, starts singling out images of the Volvo. And suddenly you realise that it seems like everybody and his brother has got a Volvo. Well, of course, nothing's changed except your perception and what you are receiving in terms of incoming calls. Now, when I come up against someone who is just completely hard-headed about anything, And hard-headed doesn't just mean that the guy is a pig or argumentative or stupid. It doesn't mean any of those things. It simply means, in my book, that they won't look at anything from another viewpoint. Whereas to me, one of the vital things about making any progress in life is that you are willing to look at things from other viewpoints. So when someone says, I like a pink car, do you say, oh, for God's sake, what's the matter with you? Who on earth in their right minds would want a pink car? No, you don't do that. You listen to why he thinks it's a wonderful thing, a pink car. Wasn't there a makeup company that used to award pink Cadillacs? Didn't Elvis Presley had a pink Cadillac? So there's different ways of looking at even a pink Cadillac, rather than say, are you insane? And I found that I've learned the most when I've been willing to look at something from a different viewpoint. And there are many, many different anecdotes which would illustrate this, that you really don't know what something is like until you can change the way that you view it. And very often, there was one exercise that I used to see that was used by an actor's studio workshop. So you went to this college for acting, drama, and one of the things that they would make you do is they would take one man or one woman, one person, and he would be angry. In this little exercise, you are going to be angry. And then to the other one over there, you are going to be happy. Now, back to back, adopt your viewpoint, adopt your way of looking at life, be angry, be sad. And then it was like a duel. You know that one where you go back to back and then your referee says, you will walk 11 paces and on the 11th pace you will turn, aim, and on the thing, on my say-so, you will fire. And well, in that case somebody dies. It's not exactly trivial. But in the acting exercise, you were given a viewpoint. This one's got angry, this one's got happy. And then you turn and face each other and adopt your viewpoint. And just be, I'm just so happy. And the other one says, what the hell? And you have to hold that viewpoint. Now the thing is that if you can hold a viewpoint, then you can let it go because you're actually in control of it. So you can adopt a viewpoint other than your own, and you can let it go and change it. Now, how will this help you to find your viewpoint? Well, I once said to my friend Mary, she had opted for a life in the country, and I said, I don't know how you could do that, because it just seems like there's nothing going on. I need more going on than that, because I'd always been a city boy. I'd always been a musician. Musicians work the most where there is work available. Work is available mostly in the city, so I was a city boy. But then later, when I came and I looked at where Beth and her family have lived and survived, up in the mountains in Burgos, so isolated from everything. I mean, when we arrived, there was 3 houses. There was Nanai's house, Rado's house, and Lena's house. And now there's about 5 houses, as our house has been added, and Tata's house has been added, her brother and his family. So I learned to look at things differently. I did that walk down to the road myself a few times, walking along in the solitude of the country. And I've often said this, I suddenly became aware of being able to hear my own footsteps. And then I changed my viewpoint on how I lived. Because if you're a musician, if you're a singer, if you're seeking fame and fortune, you get to be very, very self-centered. Well, you've got to be at the center of yourself in order to succeed in that kind of life. Well, when it came, so you serve yourself, you're self-serving. Now, when it came to what eventually became our mission, that of helping, I had to start to think about others before myself. Now, admittedly, I didn't actually need to earn a living, so I could afford to do that. I could afford to take time today to go and help so-and-so. And Timio, in the early days, found our first 2 or 3, 4 people that needed help, that we could actually help. And so we went there and we did help. And that's when we formed the Superman team. That's when Beth and I became a single unit where we were helping the less fortunate. And that was the inkling that I had when I was in Cebu, that maybe this was our mission. And I actually said that to Beth. Maybe our mission, it is our mission to go to Cebu, and not to save money so that we could sod off somewhere and have a great time on a white beach. Maybe it was our mission to help those who are struggling in a lifestyle that needed some hope and some love and some kindness. And so that was what became our mission. And I still think that in many ways our mission found me. So if you're looking for your mission, my suggestion is that you start to listen more closely, because it's a little bit like the radio. All of the radio waves are there. This is a very cliched example, okay? All of the radio waves are there, but it's only when you turn the radio on that you hear it. And even then, you have to adjust the tuning knob so that you get the station that you want, and you can choose the station. So maybe you should be thinking about, where is that little switch that turns the radio on that will suddenly make you pay more attention to signals that are already there. Already there. The mission is there. It's waiting for you to open the door, to turn on the switch, to be available, to be willing to listen. I hope this helps a little. If you're looking for your mission and you find it, why don't you write to me and tell me about that? Why don't you write to me anyway and tell me how you found your mission? I get lots of letters from people who have been watching what Beth and I do, and they say, I'm retiring to the Philippines in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 year, and I would like to do something like you are doing. I would like to help. So there's an inkling for those people that they might want to do what we are doing, which is simply helping. It's serving. Thanks for watching. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and please, if you see a video that you think has inspired you in any way, send it to someone else. Maybe it will help them in some small way. Bye for now.